Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Morning, everybody. Hi. Um, I want to start off before we talk about my what I want to cover today with Harry and Meghan. This has been I know we're in a new year, but in a 12-month period, this has been a really difficult year. We lost Toodles. Tigger was the year before. We lost Toodles, our last cat. One of my husband's coworkers was diagnosed with cancer, and he died about 9 months ago. And then about 2 months ago, another coworker was diagnosed with cancer, and they kept increasing the chemo because the tumors weren't responding, and he had a heart attack and died. Both men in their 50s, I might add, relatively young, much younger than me. And then at the second coworker's funeral, I ran into my friend. I have a really good friend. Remember, I showed you on my other channel how I'm always keeping their dog, Muro, when they're healthiest woman I know. They're backpacking through Europe. They backpacked through France. They went to Budapest. They're all over the place. And I saw her at the funeral home the night before the funeral and the day after. And she kept saying, "I'm so tired. I'm so tired." And I thought, well, you're jet lagged. Takes a few days to get over that. And then she was diagnosed with advanced liver cancer. From diagnosis to death was 3 weeks. And she's in her 50s. I guess my point is, guys, life is short. And if your entire life is made up of going online and attacking other people, you need to find something else in your life, really. You have my utmost sympathy if there's nothing else in your life that you spend all day, every day on Twitter or YouTube. By the way, this does not involve me in any way, shape, or form, but I'm sitting back and I'm watching all of this going on, and I'm like, God, life is so short. It's so short, and you shouldn't waste your time. You just shouldn't. I told my husband, I'm so tired of saying next year, we'll do it next year. We'll do it next year. No, we're going to start doing it now. We're going to start planning. We're going to make small payments. We're going to pay stuff off. We are going to start vacationing and going places while I'm still able to walk, which is slowly dropping. Because tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. And, no, I'm not leaving social media, but I will not be spending all day, every day in my house. I mean, I said to my husband, we take 1 or 2 vacations a year. And I said to my husband, wow, there's this cruise I really want to take. It goes it's like a 2-week cruise that takes you from the United States to Europe. And you stop in this port and that port, and you end up in Spain somewhere. I've never been to Spain. And I said to my husband, I'd like to take this cruise. Oh, I don't think I have the time. I don't think I can get off work. And I just looked at him and I said, well, I guess you're going to have to take some unpaid vacation days because you're going to work, and then you're going to die. When do you get to enjoy your life? When my friend's husband called us on Monday and said, could you come down here to the hospital? Which was difficult because of the flu pandemic. If you're under a certain age, you can't get in. You have to wear a mask. It reminded me so much of COVID. It was like back in COVID days. We walked in, and there's her husband sitting there in the lobby. And my husband walked up to give him a hug, and her husband collapsed onto my husband crying. It was the hardest thing I'd ever seen because he just took early retirement. He's like a year and a half older than me. He said, I just took early retirement. She's too young. We have so much we want to go do. And they just got to the point in their lives where they could travel and do things together. She's gone. So you guys are going to have to really rethink some of your life's choices because I am rethinking mine. I've told you guys before, I have a full life offline. I have my children, I have my husband, I maintain the house. You know, I have friends. We go out to lunch, shopping expeditions. We take the car up into the mountains. There's been a lot. And I said to my husband, I'm so tired of just it's all about work, 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 work. I'm going to get a write up at work. I'm like, I don't care if you get a write up at work. Well, if I do this, then this, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. We need to start living our lives, and I'm going to. And that's it. That's all I want to say about that. Don't waste your life. If there's something you want to do, go do it. I'm in that I don't care anymore. You know, I cared in my 30s. I cared in my 40s. I cared in my 50s. I'm now in my 60s. And I look back and go, why didn't I visit these countries when I wasn't in physical pain every day? Why didn't I go walking to these places? Why didn't I, she was the one that went, she was one of the two couples that went with us to Hawaii a couple of years ago when I was having trouble after leaving the ER and my husband arranged that trip to Hawaii. She was one of the couples, her and her husband, that went with us to Hawaii. And several years ago, we went to Germany and Austria together. We did the Sound of Music tour together. She went with us to Hilton Head. She loved to travel and, I mean, yeah. All right, let's get off this train. So let's talk about Harry's security again. You guys remember when I showed you guys that article that basically it was the Sussex camp that had released that we were getting our security back? And it was all from the Sussex. We were told by Ravik, it's a done deal, and we're getting it, and they're going to make the announcement soon, and blah 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 blah. And I remember telling you guys, it's not true. Other people were reporting it was a done deal. It was not true. All you had to do was read the article. The article clearly said that all that information was being leaked by the Sussex camp. Hang on. If you're anywhere near where the cruise ships dock, we're taking that cruise. So anyway, let me bring to you now the article. I'm going to share the screen. This always takes me a second. You guys know I'm not very technically. There it is. There's the article. Harry security not as nailed on as believed. So there you go. Let's talk the article, shall we? It says Harry is going to be coming back to London for his trial against the newspaper, and he's undergoing the risk assessment because remember, see, this is what I think a lot of you don't remember. He already had the security. He just had to do a 30-day, notice to get the risk assessment. He's not getting IPP status, but he just doesn't want to bother with the risk assessment. He just wants to be able to come back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And as I told you guys in my video the other day, wait. Thank you, Carol. So sweet. As I told you guys in my video the other day, what's happening is he told Ravik it would be cheaper if they just went ahead and gave him the security. That's not true. I mean, come on, guys. So let's go back to the article, shall we? Sources close to the government process have told the Times that they have not concluded the risk assessment. Meanwhile, relations between Harry and the palace are strained because he's suggesting that courtiers could scupper his long-running battle for police protection. So after hopes of a reconciliation between Harry and the king, this paints a different picture to the scene from 4 months ago at Clarence House when they were reunited over the cup of tea. It was a 50-minute meeting. Remember, Harry was told, you can't tell anybody what's going on in this meeting. You have to keep it to yourself. Well, that didn't work. Since then, the relationship between father and son has stalled. Okay, let me remind you guys that Harry and his father had no communication of any kind while his court case was going. And the reason the king did that was because the king didn't want to be accused of having a hand in on the case. And Harry gave that whole speech, remember, to the BBC. I'm not going to appeal. I'm not going to fight this. Time is so precious. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And then he went ahead and he did it anyway. So, yes, Carol, I put that in one of my videos. Harry sent him a letter, and basically he was pressed into meeting Harry because if he didn't, he was going to be accused. Sorry. He was going to be accused of ignoring his son. We discussed this before. Okay, let's go back to the article. Harry is going to ask King Charles to open the Invictus Games for wounded veterans when he returns to the UK. Now, this case is starting on January 19th. We know it's going to be Elton John, David Furnish, Liz Hurley, Sadie Frost. We know all of that, right? And the Associated newspaper has said they've done nothing wrong. And again, now that the legal proceedings are going, Charles is reluctant to meet Harry. So he's going to stay in Scotland, but let's be honest, that's what he does. That's where he stays every year at this time, and that's nothing new. But is Harry's war with the press truly the only reason for Charles to stay away? Over the past 4 years, Harry has taken aim at the media, the government, and the palace, and said the removal of his security was a good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up. He had a long-running battle with the Home Office over his decision to remove his palace security. We know that in May of 2025, he finally lost the security. And then, as I just told you, speaking to the BBC, he alluded, of course, to the death of his mother and saying that people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark. So, of course, Charles didn't want to meet Harry while he was suing the government, as I just told you. Once the case was over, it paved the way for a rapprochement, but Harry just took aim at his father again. Sorry, guys. Harry said, quote, "There was a lot of control and ability in my father's hands, and the whole thing ultimately could be resolved through him, not necessarily by intervening, but by stepping aside and allowing the experts to do what is necessary." So basically, he's claiming that the loss of his security was due to his father. So is anybody shocked that his father doesn't want to meet him? Anybody? Because I'm not shocked. Not one little bit. So now they're saying, remember, I told you guys, a source told the Sunday newspaper that the security was now nailed on for Harry following the new risk assessment, and the only thing that could scupper the approval now would be palace intervention. And this confidence appears to come from his successful bid for a risk management board, which will reassess his security and provide support accordingly. However, somebody finally spoke out. Just like before, the palace has spoken out in their defense. The government spoke out and said that the risk management process had not yet been concluded. They said, quote, "I have no idea what the recommendation to Ravik will be, but what I do know with certainty is neither does anyone else, because they're still undertaking the review. And on that basis, claims that a decision is already nailed on seems like an attempt to manipulate the media into manifesting an outcome from what will be a fair and rigorous review, but one that is still very much ongoing." So whoever's behind them must not realize how transparent and counterproductive to the process that is. Now, that's the way I feel about it. I feel like Harry constantly putting out these articles. Oh, yeah, it's mine. They said it's mine. And the only way it's going to stop is if the palace intervenes. Ravik is going to sit back and go, I don't want to give it to him now. He's still attacking the palace. He's still attacking the monarchy. He hasn't learned anything. It's counterproductive what he's doing. But he's so stupid, I don't think he sees that. Isn't that crazy? I don't think he sees it. All right, so moving on. It will conclude later in January. It will then report back to Ravik. And a source close to the palace have denied that the palace could intervene or scupper the process. This is an entirely familiar and predictable narrative, but one that is unjust and inaccurate. The palace has no powers with Ravik. While they sit on a committee, it is not their role to advise on threat analysis or appropriate mitigations. That is for the actual intelligence and security experts to advise on. And of course, they do whatever the Duke's visits to the UK are being reviewed under the existing process. So when a decision goes against the Duke, he's going to claim it's an establishment stitch-up. But a decision will be made as to whether the risk posed to Harry will require him to receive automatic protection every time he returns to the UK. And of course, this is happening because Harry plans more trips. Later this year, and I'll be covering this in my video tomorrow, later this year, they're expecting him to come back to promote the 1 year to go for the Invictus Games, which is supposed to take place in Birmingham. And he set it to be right at the same time as the Queen's 80th birthday. Again, oh, wait, I got another. Harry is making old parties livid. Yes, he is. That's exactly the point. So people don't want to help him because he's pissing everybody off. So what's going on now, and I'll be covering this in my video tomorrow, is that Harry is basically saying that, first of all, I've told you before that every year they do the Invictus Games on different dates. And this time he chose it right about the time of Queen Camilla's 80th birthday, which is a big to-do. And I think he did that intentionally so he could say, look, I invited the king and the king didn't come. And I gave him 2 years notice. He could have come. He could, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he's doing that to make the king look bad. Now, it's not known if Harry is planning to bring Meghan and the kids, although the decision is based on the outcome of the latest risk assessment. And his attendance of the king will depend on how his relationship with Harry develops over the next 18 months, because a government spokesperson said that the UK's government protective security system is rigorous and proportionate. And it is our long-standing policy not to provide detailed information on those arrangements. We don't comment on security matters. There you go. What he's trying to do is he's trying to set up, and I said this to you in my video the other day, and I 100% believe it. He's trying to set up a rival royal court in the UK. And of course, due to the court circular, we will know weeks in advance when Catherine's going to be out, when William's going to be out, when the Duke of Edinburgh is going to be out, when Sophie's going. We know ahead of time. And every time something is on the calendar, Harry's going to fly over to the UK and he's going to do something. And Meghan's going to post on Instagram. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, I don't know how the UK laws work, but the courts already said no to this. He appealed. They said no. So if Ravik turns around now and says, okay, let's give it to him, I don't know if anybody there would know what would happen. Does that mean that the court undoes what it said? And if the court undoes its decision, does that mean Harry gets to say to the court, you have to give me all my legal fees back because you shouldn't have put me through this, because the truth is I was right and I should have won? You see where this is leading, right? Harry wants, oh, Deep Thoughts just wrote something. This is absolutely true. Private charity events aren't something the monarch normally would open. That's true. And besides that, private charity events are not something that he should get security for. They're private. They're not royal patronages. I guess what I don't understand, I understand why the Queen didn't pull their Duke and Duchess titles, but I guess what I don't understand is when they broke their deal and they found out that while they were told they could not privately or publicly use their HRH and Meghan's still using hers, they're in abeyance. Why somebody didn't say, okay, we are now removing your HRH because you didn't follow the terms of the Sandringham agreement that said you will not use your HRH. So we're removing it. You're no longer an HRH. And when they were told and they agreed not to use their titles for commercial gain, and they're using the titles for commercial gain, why somebody didn't try to pull those titles. I know I'm sniffing. I don't want to hear comments, guys. Okay, just stop, because after I cry or I get upset, this is what I do. The last time I did that, I had a lot of nasty comments about your sniffing is disgusting. If it's grossing you out, get off. That's all I can say. Has Harry paid any of his legal fees? That's a very good question. I could be wrong. But it's my understanding that Harry gave that interview to the BBC, and the BBC agreed to pay the $1 million legal fees. I can't prove that. I don't have anything to back that up, but that's what I heard. So I don't know. Sniff all you want. I look like a drug abuser. It's just like, wait a minute. I'm gonna bend over here. Hold on, guys. That happens whenever I get upset and I cry. My nose runs like a crazy person. I can't help it. When I cry, my nose runs terribly. I'm going to be a mess at my friend's funeral next week. I'm telling you. What was I about to tell you? I was about to say something. I can't remember now. Oh, yeah. Besides the sniffing thing, you guys, I'm always shocked that people watch my videos and all they get from the videos is that I mispronounce something. They're like, this is how you pronounce it. And there'll be 50 of those comments. This is how you pronounce it. And I'm like, is that all you got from my video? Don't you get any of the other information? Instead, it's all you mispronounce something. I'm like, oh, God. Didn't you understand anything from my video? Oh my God. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure I don't know UK law. I can't pretend to understand UK law. So I don't know what'll happen. My guess is he'll go back and sue the court for money because he spent a lot of money paying for his attorneys. You know what I'm trying to say. So I don't get it. I don't, what's really going to blow is one of the reasons why they want this is that, oh my God. Yes, I called it Charing Cross and 50 people said I mispronounced it. I'm sorry if I'm still calling it Charing Cross. I speak phonetically as an American, and some of your towns, the names and the way they're pronounced are so, I'm not going to lie, they're difficult. They're really difficult, but I really do try, you guys. I mean, I go online and they have how to pronounce things. And even when I use that sometimes, people say you didn't say it right. And I'm like, well, but it's telling me this is how to pronounce it. So I really do try, guys. I really do. Anyway, say Saskatoon. Remoulade sauce. People are like, you need to learn how to pronounce that. In the United States, that's remoulade. Remoulade sauce. Get over it. Oh my God. By the way, people want to know, people want to know how that sauce tastes. I haven't opened it yet. I could be wrong, but isn't that for seafood? I have to look at it. Worst, wait. Oh, thank you. Wait, it's going by so quickly. We're Worcestershire sauce, but my father used to call it Worcestershire sauce, and so to this day, it's Worcestershire sauce because that's how my dad pronounced it. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So now the other thing I want to talk to you about, and this is it right here. And I said this in my video the other day. Let's talk about it. Fergie. Oh my God. Wait. Yes, seafood. Yes, see, I hate seafood. So I don't eat seafood. So we're going to end up, I'm going to end up using that on something else. But when I do, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Fergie. When Meghan wrote to the royal family, and I put this in one of my videos not long ago, and said, how come I can't make money off my titles and the rules are different for me than for them and blah, 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 blah. Fergie is divorced. Fergie she could call herself the Duchess, but she did not get security. She did live on royal property, but that's only because she was living with her ex-husband. And now that Andrew's moving, they're not living together. She doesn't know where she's going. Yeah, she used the title. My problem was that she was in the royal box with her daughters. She had no business there. Sorry. She was at Ascot. She had no business there. She was working her way back into the fold, and she shouldn't have been there. I got to be honest. She shouldn't have been there. That's my personal opinion. She should not have been there. And I understand why Meghan said that, but Meghan wanted full security. Sarah didn't get full security. Sarah doesn't work for the family. Sarah's divorced. And somehow she equated them as being the same thing. It's not the same thing. Now, perfect. Exactly. There's a very good chance that after the security review, the factor might be lowered, because what he's done is he took the Sussex Squad member that's, is a fan who's stalking. He claims stalking. I don't think it's stalking. And he's using that as his basis for needing an increase in security and the New York car chase. If any of you have been to Manhattan, which I grew up in that area, and you saw what happened afterwards, there was no 2-hour high-speed car chase. It's not possible. We also know from the press that basically their team told the press that they were going to go for dinner afterwards and they should follow them so they could get the dinner pictures. The whole thing was a setup from top to bottom. We all knew it was a setup. Nobody was ever arrested. And then when nobody was arrested, Harry and Meghan sent that letter saying they were going to get Gavin Newsom on them if they didn't arrest somebody or do something. Nothing happened. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. Okay, this is interesting. Sarah got money in her divorce and didn't write a book. Well, that's another thing. Sarah didn't slam the royal family. Sarah, however, had the Queen pay off all of her debts, which was millions upon millions of pounds. And the Queen gave her £800,000, which is like $1.3 million, to buy a home for herself. And she knew the children would be well taken care of. So, she got it. Now, does anybody, other than the death of my friend, which I really just don't want to revisit, and when we haven't had the funeral arrangements yet, but when that happens, I'm probably going to take a day off. I don't think I'll be in any shape to do a video. I just have to learn to sit in the back. When the second coworker died, which was about 6 weeks ago, we had the funeral about 6 weeks ago. His family had come to visit from Germany and had just gone back, and they couldn't come back. And her family is from Romania, and they couldn't get visas to come over. So, and she has twin 10-year-old sons who chose not to attend the funeral. They didn't want to see their father in a box. So I'm sitting there with my husband and the funeral starts and she's sitting up in the front pew all by herself. And I said to my husband, I can't take it. And I stood up. I'm, oh my God, you guys, I thought maybe I was doing a faux pas because this was a Roman Orthodox funeral. The whole thing was in Romanian. Didn't understand a word of it. And they're waving this stuff around with the smoke coming out of it. And all I could see was her sitting up front by herself. And so I stood up, walked around, marched up the front aisle, went to the left, sat down next to her. And she looked up at me and I said, we're going to do this together. And I sat right next to her, holding her hand and sobbing right along with her throughout the whole funeral. It was horrible. This funeral coming up, my friend had a gazillion friends. I'm going to have to keep to my place in the back of the room. But when that, when the second coworker died at the hospital, it took like 5 days for the coroner to release the body. So the funeral took place later. She passed on Wednesday. This is Sunday. So we have not heard yet when the funeral is going to be this week, obviously. If there is a funeral, she was such an outdoorsy person. I could totally see her husband cremating her and doing something in the middle of the woods. I mean, I don't know what to expect or if he'll even have a service for her. I don't know. Anyway, Sparks, you know what? It's not like at the Catholic where they have the swinging thing with the smoke. This was like a cup with a handle on it and it had something burning in it. And every time he wanted smoke, he'd take this little pellet, drop it on there and the smoke would come out and there were candles everywhere. I've never been to a funeral like that. There were candles lit and there was a cake to the left with a cross on it. And there was a candle in it. They called it, I don't know any other way to say it because I don't know the Romanian term, the dead man's cake. And at one point in the service, they were putting it up and down like this. And afterwards, we went back for the reception at the funeral home and they cut into the cake and they handed it to us. I'd never tasted anything quite like it. It was made from like wheat. It was like, the texture was, I don't know. Anyway, 40 days later, we gathered at the ceremony because apparently you're supposed to do something 40 days later. And we got there and then we went to a reception again with lots of food afterwards. But this is Roman Orthodox and I'd never seen anything like, but everything was in Romanian. So I didn't understand a word of it. So anyway, I don't know what it was. But anyway, the point is when her funeral comes, if there's a funeral, we're waiting to hear. I will not be doing a video. I'll be taking the day off. So anyway, but I hope I didn't do a faux pas when I stood up in the middle of the service and just went, I couldn't bear to see her sitting there by herself. They live streamed it to the families in Europe. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I looked over to the left and there was like this, I said, what are you doing? She goes, we're live streaming for the family that couldn't make it. So anyway, the incense, I can't smell the incense because I didn't really get my full sense of smell back after COVID. Like when I walk into a room and people go, wow, those flowers smell so good. I don't smell anything. And then I get up to the rose and I put my nose in it and I sniff, then I can smell it. So I did not smell the incense because it wasn't right in my face, but I never got my full sense of smell back after I had that COVID pneumonia. How many years ago was that now? Like 3 years ago? I never got my full sense of smell back. I did get my sense of taste back, but not my sense of smell. Isn't that odd? So COVID really messed me up, man. Messed up my sense of smell. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with Harry, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he really wants security because as we heard from their statement, Harry and Meghan, how many times have I told you guys they're going to homeschool those kids? How many times did I tell you that? Those kids aren't in public school. How else are they going to be able to take them on adventures and take them here and take them there and do things with them unless they've got full security? And if they do get full security, think about it. If they do get it, this totally blows Meghan's excuse for not going back to the UK. and not taking the children back to the UK, right? I feel sorry for her children. It has been suggested that Harry could fly over with the kids alone. There's no way on God's green earth Meghan Markle is going to allow those children out of her sight. And I'm saying that because I firmly believe in my heart that Harry knows he's made a mistake. Harry is well aware that he's made a mistake. And I think he wants to go home, but he can't leave his children behind. But, custody is 50-50 or, right of possession. In other words, when people divorce and you see these cases on TV, she goes, that's my kid. He tried to take him from me. No, it's not your kid. It's both of your kids. You don't get sole possession. But I don't know how that works internationally. Archie is a UK citizen. Lily is an American citizen because Archie was born in the UK. I think it'll be interesting if Harry goes back and takes the kids without Meghan, which I don't think would ever happen. I think what would happen is Harry would be there. He'd say, I'm staying. I'm not going back, and the kids aren't going back. We're staying here. There you go. That's my personal opinion. I think Kelly Rutherford case. I don't know the Kelly Rutherford case. That must be a UK thing. There are always plenty of opportunities when the kids are out of her sight. Well, I've said before, he'll never get custody of those children because if they divorce, she's going to claim Harry's a drug abuser and a user and has severe mental health issues, which is all true, and that he's an unfit parent. That's exactly what's going to happen. And Harry's going to go, how can you say that? We've been married. I have the kids. And she's going to go into court and she's going to say in court, he was never alone with those children. I was there. The nanny was there. My mom, Doria, was there. There's always been somebody there because we knew he was unstable and dangerous. That's exactly what happened. We have... Carol says it was a case between two international parents. The American lost custody. She was a USA actress. I hadn't heard of that. I don't know. Oh, good point. Maybe Meghan Markle is afraid that someone is doing a DNA test. Yeah. I've talked before to you guys about whether you thought Meghan Markle gave birth. In my opinion, in the UK, she did not. Leaving the hospital after 2 hours after an epidural is not possible, number one. Number two, Harry's book is pure fiction on how she gave birth. She got the epidural, then she got in the bath. You can't get in the bath after an epidural. Her lies about why she had to give birth at this hospital and why she couldn't do the photo call. There's absolutely no way that she would pass up a Diana moment standing outside the hospital with that baby. There's just no way. The announcement that came out saying we used a surrogate and then it was taken down. But of course, not before people got screenshots. The fact that 6 weeks after the baby was born, the birth certificate was altered. The first time ever in royal history that a birth certificate was altered. Her name was removed. And now it's just the Duchess of Sussex. Her name was removed from the birth certificate. The doctors didn't sign off. She tried to negate all this information on the Netflix show by putting up an ultrasound picture with no name, no identifying information on it. She could have gotten that off the internet by supposedly showing herself pregnant from the neck down in the kitchen at Frogmore. That could have been the surrogate standing there. I firmly believe, she's bending down 8 months pregnant with her knees together. That's not possible. The belly was big. The belly was small. The belly was smunching. The belly was turning square. I firmly believe that she didn't give birth to Archie. Now, I also find it interesting that people insist that she gave birth to Lily in the United States. Meghan Markle showed herself to be a liar when she put out that ridiculous twerking video. Do you guys remember that one of the other things that she said was that, people were talking again in the Netflix. She was talking about how she was always holding on to Harry. She always had a hold of him. According to her, she had a hold of him because she put on 60 pounds and she was 8 months pregnant. She couldn't keep her balance and she needed Harry to help her. Here she is, 60 pounds up, pregnant, twerking and twirling around in her hospital room. If you're that off balance that you need to hold on to your husband while you're walking, how in the hell are you able to do that? I mean, she showed herself to be a liar again. And I believe it was Resting Doll Face. And I put this in one of my videos not long ago. There's a picture of her standing outside of her house holding Archie, very pregnant, while Harry was going back for Philip's funeral. And she was out to here. And then there's another picture of her carrying Archie to school and the belly is out to here. And then you have the twerking video and suddenly the belly is up here and it's a weird shape and it looks like it's clothing shoved up under. I almost feel like she went in there and said, we need to borrow this room for 5 minutes and did the twerking thing. And then the other thing is, again, to negate the information coming out, they put up a picture of Meghan after birthing Lily holding the baby. I'm sure you guys noticed what I did. One of the very identifying pictures, one of the very identifying things about Meghan Markle is her fingers. She's like multi-jointed. This finger goes up and then it bends down this way and then it goes this way. Her fingers, you guys have noticed that, right? Her fingers bend in ways that yours don't. And if you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. She's got these weird fingers that bend in these weird directions. The picture of her, it's just her head. And then you have the body holding the baby with the fingers. Those fingers aren't double jointed like hers are. They put her head on somebody else's body, in my personal opinion. They keep constantly trying to fix the narratives that are out there. And I will never forget ever Harry going, one of the hardest things in my life is that people were saying that I was James Hewitt's son. And it was just so hurtful that people said this and all this speculation was out there. What do you think he did to his son? What do you think he did? Sneaking into a hospital, sneaking out of the hospital. Nobody sees the baby for days. And her belly goes up and her belly, he has created for his son the exact same situation. And I will never believe that a girl who's 45% or 44%, whatever the frick it was, Nigerian, and by the way, she's never proven that either. A woman who's 40-something% Nigerian produces a redheaded, pale skin kid. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand genetics. Look at me. Black hair. Well, I had black hair. I mean, black as coal hair, brown eyes. While I am pale right now, I'm usually quite dark. I'm olive skinned. I tan very easily. And I turn very dark. And yet my oldest son has dirty blonde hair and the greenest eyes you've ever seen and pale skin. So I understand. But then both of my mother had blonde hair and blue eyes. My grandparents on her side had blonde hair and blue-green eyes. So it's like genetically, we knew it was a possibility. She doesn't have that. She's dark when she wants to be. Back to PC. Yep. Absolutely. And thank you for the money. Her mother is 10 times darker than she is. Her parents were not mixed, I don't believe. Doria's parents were not mixed. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. And I'll never believe that she gave birth to Totally white, red-headed, blue-eyed kids. Sorry. I just don't believe it. So I think another reason why Meghan would prefer the children not go to the UK is that somebody could brush their hair, get a little strand of hair, and run a DNA test. Is it possible that they took Harry's sperm and her egg and gave it to a surrogate, and the surrogate gave birth because Harry did, Meghan didn't want to blow out her body, whatever? It's possible, but I just don't believe genetically those kids belong to Meghan Markle. So I feel like they were given places in the line of succession. And somebody's going to need to do some genetic testing on those kids. Somebody will. What's going to end up happening is somebody somehow is going to get a piece of hair from one of those kids and is going to send it off. And when it comes back genetically, that the children have no Nigerian blood, no African-American blood of any kind, when that comes out, she'll say that the DNA test is a fake, blah, 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 blah. I mean, come on, guys. It's just like, I feel so bad for the Nigerians. She made the whole Invictus Games about her with Nigeria. Nigeria and Colombia courted them, hoping to get the Invictus Games there. They spent millions of dollars on them that could have gone to their people who are living way below the poverty line. And instead, they spent it on Harry and Meghan, who then didn't choose them for the Invictus Games. I mean, if I were them, I'd be pissed. So, oh, interesting. DNA from a drinking glass. I didn't even think about that. That's right. You could. So we'll see how this is going to develop. But I guess the main point I wanted to say on here is that I told you in my previous video that Harry's team is the one who put out the information about the security. It's my understanding a lot of other YouTubers just said that it had been granted by Ravik. But if you read the article very carefully, it clearly said that information was coming from the Sussex team. I don't know what the rules are about, does King Charles have legal custody? I mean, I think if those laws do exist, they're so archaic at this point that I don't think anybody would use them. You know what I mean? I don't believe that if Catherine did something, William, the king would go, those children are in my custody and take them. I don't think it works that way anymore. That's just my personal opinion. But again, it was Harry's team that said that they'd won the security. And I knew it wasn't true. There was no way it was true. And I have a feeling that in putting out those fake news and fake articles, they probably upset Ravik. And Ravik could just say, yeah, we're not going to go through this. We're just not going to give it to him. We're leaving things the way they are. I could totally see that. Because when you try to manifest things by putting lies out into the media, thinking that they're not going to clap back, and then they clap back, that's saying something. So, yeah. Okay, let's see your questions. Let's see what we got. And many in MSN. Well, MSN, I believe, is pro-Sussex. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of it. So, oh, by the way, it's come to my attention that you guys know I have an Amazon wish list. I've had it. People were back in COVID days. I didn't have a PO box, and people were like, "I want to get something for Finn. I want to do something for Finn. I want to do something for your cat." I was like, "You can't do anything because I don't have a PO box." And I have a PO box, and I have an Amazon wish list. Are you guys ready? Somebody actually made a YouTube account, Sue Smith's Amazon wish list. Thank you, whoever you are. Thank you for the free advertisement. I think you're fabulous, and I hope to see more of you. Like, seriously. to the person who bought Finn the new what is that thing called? Lamb chop. It's his favorite toy. And Muro, when he was here, chewed all over Lamb Chop, and poor Lamb Chop is seen better days. And so one of the things I put on there on the Amazon wish list was Lamb Chop, and somebody bought Lamb Chop for Finn. He's very happy. He loves that thing. He loves his Lamb Chop. I don't know what it is. And the funniest thing is, going back to my friend who just passed, when they came to pick up their dog, you know, I told you I put up those pictures of the toys that their dog had chewed through, and I said, "Your dog is an animal. He's an animal. He's like chewing all of Finn's toys, like ripping them to shreds." He came walking in with a bag. Her husband came walking in with a bag, and I opened it up, and it's all dog toys for Finn, the chewy kind, the kind that her dog would chew on. Finn hasn't touched them because they're not soft and fuzzy. He likes the soft and fuzzy stuff. So, what is this? I am Sue. I heard that when we like every post, YouTubers consider that post a bot. That's not true. That's not true. But I have to tell you, okay, we have a question. Let me go to the question. Sorry, guys. Some YouTubers are saying Harry and family's coming back to the UK. Okay, what they're saying, yes, I remember Lamb Chop and her. What they're saying is Harry expects to get his full armed security back. And as soon as he does, Meghan and the kids are going to come back for the 1 year to go for Invictus. I'm assuming they're not going to do that in Birmingham, because Birmingham is putting out pictures right now showing trash all over the roads. And the town is basically bankrupt. The street lights are being dimmed. The library's closed. And I'm going to be very interested to see where he's going to go visit during that 1 year thing. I'll be interested to see what happens. But there's no way, and I've said this before, there's absolutely no way Meghan Markle is going to miss her chance to prance around in clothing and wave her ring. Oh. Oh, yeah. There's no way. She's not in her 5 outfits a day. There's no way she's going to miss that. There's no way, especially since Invictus is paying for her clothing, paying for her free travel, paying for her food, paying for their security. I have never forgotten. I have never forgotten when it came out from Germany that 25 or like 20 or 25% of donations went to Harry and Meghan. And when Invictus was called on it, Invictus said that those donations were sent in earmarked specifically for Harry and Meghan. Do you really expect me to believe that somebody donated money to the veterans and said, excuse me, I'd like these multimillionaires to get a free meal on me? Come on. I mean, so I'll be interested to see what happens. I don't think Meghan Markle for 1 second is going to pass that up. And if she doesn't come to the 1 year event, she will definitely be there for Invictus. Absolutely. And I can also tell you that Harry wanting the king to open up the Invictus games is nothing but him trying to show and push the fact that he's still a member of the royal family. I mean, let's be honest, everything they've done has failed. They've lost Lemonada. They lost Spotify. They lost Netflix. They're trying to put a good spin on it, but forget it. They lost Netflix. Now they're latching on to, like the Cookie Queen, they're latching on to other people's work, claiming it's theirs to try to raise their profile. It's not working. It's just not working. And now Harry realizes, well, we might have had it not so bad. I got a free home, free protection. Pa gave me $2-3 million a year, and I got free travel. And all I had to do was go around, shake hands, and cut a few ribbons. I think he's realizing that actually he had it pretty good, and he screwed it up for himself. Or I should say his wife screwed it up for him. Is Birmingham safe for veterans? I don't know that it would be any more unsafe than the rest of the UK right now. Yep, this is true. I mean, they put out pictures recently, right after Christmas, of all the trash and the wrapping paper and the boxes and all of that stuff strewn all over the road because the trash isn't picking up. Like, come on. My thoughts on are you talking about the Gayle King one? That they did for the Oprah thing. I mean, we knew they were going to do something. It was Catherine's birthday. Harry looked like he was reading off a teleprompter. If you saw my video, which go today, it's the one I put up Saturday, and it's still the main video. Meghan was once again as white as snow. They had a massive filter on. She didn't look like herself. Harry was going, I mean, he was going like this. He's looking at her and he's coming back and he's going, I almost feel like he was blinking, help me. Like HELP. I feel like he was blinking, help me. I mean, and if you watched my video, also, that they were asked to ask these people questions. And instead, do you have any questions, Meghan? Oh, well, thank you, Gayle. I remember back when we were doing this thing at Harvard and users, and they're called users. And she goes into this whole thing and never freaking asks a question. I mean, she tries to act like she's so educated. And I think most people can see through it. So I think that's the one you're talking about. Birmingham is skint. They turn the lights off at 10 p.m. every night. No rubbish being picked up either. And the government don't have the money either. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens. They shrunk her head because her head is being so big. Gayle is washed up and disrespected. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it was pretty bad. The interview with Gayle looks AI. I do believe it was them. And the reason I'm saying it's them is because Harry did your work is wonderful. I think it's great. I do have questions. That's totally Harry. And then Meghan, of course, starts spouting. I mean, did you notice at the very beginning? Oh, please go watch my video today. Did you notice at the very beginning, they said, welcome. And they're like, hi, guys. Hi. And then Meghan launches into this whole, thank you for having us. And I just think this is so important. And blah, 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 blah. And this was nothing but it was just the beginning. It's just hi, how are you? I mean, I'm just like, oh my God. She can't help herself. Who protects the vets? Well, nobody. Let me just say, because we're coming up on an hour, you guys know how I feel about that. Let me just say this. I did a video not long ago about one of the vets. Remember, nobody left behind. No man left behind, right? One of the vets fell backwards in his wheelchair at the Invictus Games, injured himself, has had multiple surgeries, and is now living in a nursing home because he can no longer do the stairs at his house where his wife and children are living. And Invictus basically washed their hands and said, you didn't get to correct this. You didn't do this right. Sorry. But yet you're giving millions of dollars for Harry's security, food, hotel, and Meghan's clothing and jewelry so she can prance around at Invictus. But you won't help one of your own. I think that's shameful. I haven't given a dime to Invictus. I'll give to the Warrior Games here in the United States, which is where Harry got the idea from, and he readily admits he stole the idea from them. But yeah, this is it, Deborah. Exactly. The vets are the props. Exactly. They're props. So it was a complete hypocrisy. The interview itself used social media, and her company uses social media, and she monetizes her children. Yeah. It's just the whole thing is disgusting. All right, guys, if you haven't seen my video that I put up, it's still up. The new one won't come out till tomorrow. You guys, tomorrow's video, let me just tell you. Catherine put out that fabulous video about winter. Remember, she was doing the 4 seasons, right? If they take money, Tig for the Hound of California, go to bat. I believe it. In my video tomorrow, she put out this fabulous video, And somebody at the Daily Fail wrote a hit piece that literally made me cry. Thank you, Carol. Yep. Make sure you hype my videos. A hit piece from the Daily Fail talking about Catherine is out of touch and they just cannot believe that she put this piece, and who at the palace thought this was a good idea. We will be discussing that tomorrow. We will be discussing tomorrow the real reason that Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, after saying they weren't going to make it to the, Sandringham, why they went. We're going to be discussing that. You're going to be shocked. We will be discussing Brooklyn Beckham. I have to, guys. And it's not royal, but he's behaving just like Harry. It's like, what the hell? We're discussing that tomorrow. We're discussing the security thing tomorrow. It's going to be another long video because, stuff over the whole weekend. But we are starting off the video tomorrow with Zara Tindall because, my goodness, there's a lot going on there. Also, I have the Duchess of Edinburgh in tomorrow's video. She's been out and about, her first event of the year. There's a lot. So, yep. Liz Jones is, yes, Liz Jones. That's who wrote the article. Terrible. Terrible. Liz Jones. She's horrible. The Daily Fail. Now, let me just say one other thing. The hype button. The hype button is not on lives. It's only on videos, and you only get 3 hypes a week. So if you hype my video on a Monday, and then you hype somebody else on Tuesday and somebody else on Wednesday, you won't be able to hype me anymore for the rest of the week. I'm not saying you should use all your hypes on me, but I'm just saying a lot of people say that, my hype button disappears. That's why. And also, if you're using a tablet, there is no hype button, but there is a hype button on the computer and on the cell phone. Okay. Keep an eye out for those. I believe your new week starts on Monday. So on Monday, make sure you hype the videos and we'll go from there. Okay. And don't forget to hit like on this live stream. All right, you guys, as soon as I know about the funeral, I'll put up some sort of a post about what day I'll be missing as far as my video goes, because I'm going to need a day, I'm sure. And in the meantime, go outside, enjoy your life. Enjoy the weather, even if it's raining, even if it's snowing, there is some beauty to be found in all of it. And life is over so quickly. So if you look around, there's blessings everywhere you look. Maybe you have to look a little harder, but you'll find them. And you have to enjoy your life while you're there, because it's going to be over very quickly in the blink of an eye. Okay? All right, you guys, have a wonderful Sunday. We'll talk to you.